Let's talk about WrestleMania 27, that pay-per-view. Still many months to go, but a lot of predicted matches have been talked about in various spots. I mean, forums, websites. People are trying to put together what the card will be based on the guys who are currently in the WWE and indeed possible matchups that could take place. Now, one of the first matches that I've heard mentioned recently was Undertaker versus Sheamus. Now, of course, Undertaker walked through some kind of mysterious door this week after he's been buried alive, so they've referred to him, and he isn't dead, he isn't retired, he's not gone, he just doesn't seem to be around, at least for the moment, for Survivor Series. I think within the next few months he's without a doubt going to be back in the picture. Now, Sheamus isn't on SmackDown, but I would like to see this particular one happen. Now, other than that particular matchup, you've got this whole reign. Of course, it is 18-0. It's about to be 19-0 if he wins again come next year.
It will happen, and I think they'll try to get him up to 20. I think his little vacation might get a bit dragged out, and I'd say look for a turnaround Rumble time. Maybe it's a surprise entrant and it's taking out his brother Kane once and for all, or else maybe Kane takes him out and they go on, continue that feud the whole way up until Undertaker finally buries his brother.
Indeed, maybe the few shots that they had on pay-per-view, Kane versus Undertaker, which was ended slightly prematurely. I definitely expected it to go on as far as Survivor Series, and now that it looks to have been so for the moment ended, I think maybe, like you say, that could be fired up again in time for WrestleMania. Maybe we haven't seen the best of that yet. Sheamus is one guy. Who else could job to Taker? That's one thing about Taker that's never been my favourite thing. I mean, I've always bought the gimmick. I think the guy works very well. But why does he have to always be pushed non-stop? I mean, when the guy first came in that Survivor Series so many years ago, he was basically given free reign to defeat everybody and to appear unstoppable. Now, the question I have is, could anyone have done that? I mean, if you put Kevin Thorne in there, if you put anybody who has got a similar build, would it have been the same?
It's a very good question. I think there's something kind of unique enough about him. Definitely the height and the look, even from the old school when he came in on that Survivor Series. Something about it and the way he could kind of, he's pretty athletic and he can do all that fucking walking on the rope shit. And yeah, I think he'd be definitely a lot more believable than that Kevin Thorne fucker. He's about as Jesus Christ, yeah, that guy. Whatever happened to him? But yeah, I think Taker's streak will continue to 20-0. I do know where you're coming from with the super push. He has literally been pushed always, even the American Badass days, and any run with the Taker dead man gimmick, and again now, king of the locker room, really, I suppose, isn't he?
That's right, and by no means am I questioning the guy and what he's done and his ability and how much of a legend he is, but it just begs the question that could it have been anyone? Of course, you're right to say that not only was he in the right spot at the right time, but he had the right skills. You mentioned the agile ability and the fitness and the fact that he could walk those ropes and do things like that. Yeah, he did well. Of course, there was fake Undertaker. Now, put side by side, fake Undertaker was pretty damn good.
He was pretty damn good. They could have done, I think, a lot more with fake Undertaker.
So I think that reign likely to go 19-0. Who else could be the man that loses? Now, maybe Triple H could be returning. Maybe he could be the guy that is willing to lose and get Taker on to that 20-0. But personally, I would like to see the 20-0 next. I mean, that's where they swerve us. That's where I go, okay, let him lose now, and he isn't 20-0.
Yep, they could definitely make a name for one of the younger talent if they did, you know, Daniel Bryan or somebody. Maybe not Daniel Bryan, but a I don't know. I'd say they would give it to somebody who's just going to get super pushed. But then they want the big names, don't they, really?
It just struck me, and I'm smiling, how bad would it be to have Undertaker v Miz? Thank God they're on different brands right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see it going that way.
Yeah. Maybe for 20, I think Miz will probably be in that kind of spot if he stays healthy.
With Alex Riley at ringside.
Riley at ringside.
It's ready. Just let them go. Other matches that I think maybe are possible. Again, just picking them out of the air. Now, Christian, of course, is injured at the moment. Jericho supposedly is coming back. Now, it's just a short break away. He's currently on tour with Fozzy, and you can check out footage of the Fozzy tour here on WrestleDope. Hit the youtube.com/the WrestleDope. By the time you see this, it should be up there. I'm thinking maybe they can do Jericho versus Edge now. Because, of course, when Edge left a few months ago, there was some heat between Jericho and him. Returning then, a few weeks ago, we had those guys paired up for a little bit, and it looked like a possible tag team. So, without a doubt, they have it in their mind that these guys are good together. Now, perhaps we could look at Jericho versus Edge with Christian. You've got Jericho as heel, Edge as babyface. That could even lead to Edge and Christian once again.
Yeah, that would be good. Or maybe a three-way kind of triple threat match or something like that with all the Canadians. Maybe put a title in the mix. Be a bloody good match. I think all of them would deliver, Edge, Christian and Jericho. Be a nice little Mania match, I think.
Indeed, I mean, Edge could actually have that World Heavyweight Championship by then. He could be a babyface that is as over as anyone. And I think that would be a good high spot. Put him against Jericho. Jericho needs a spot. And at that point, we'll hope that Christian will have returned. Another return that I question is Money in the Bank. Now, of course, that became a pay-per-view a few months ago, and indeed, does that mean that's the end for the regular WrestleMania spot? I think it'll be a very poor choice if they take that out of there. I know they've had the pay-per-view, but I want to have that there. I can't think of anything else to replace it, and it's just part of that WrestleMania feel every year.
Yeah, you've just become accustomed to waiting for that Money in the Bank. And it is and has become, I think, a WrestleMania moment when you see that kind of mid-card coming to the ring and the ladders set up and the big feel of Mania. Definitely, it's always kind of like a little highlight match, I think, and it would be a shame to not have it on the card.
So many guys will be without a position if that isn't there. I wonder what will happen to guys. I mean, I'm sure many will end up on the Dark Match Battle Royale that we don't get to see until the DVD comes out. But ultimately, it will need a replacement. They're going to have to put something there. Every match really does need to be different on any wrestling card, but on a WrestleMania it is essential that each one has got something different about it, and I thought that was a natural high spot, whatever part of the pay-per-view they put it on. So I wonder, will there be gimmick matches or just standard one fall? Now, I know there were times where, I mean it happens with Survivor Series now and again, and you do get these pay-per-views where they want to go one-on-one and not too much in the way of gimmickry.
Yeah, I think they have now, if Jericho comes back, of course, they will have the perfect kind of roster to make a decent card, and they, I really hope they don't fuck it up, because even putting Daniel Bryan in there with a Jericho for a program, if he doesn't do a three-way, let Edge and Christian do a one-on-one straight away, that's perfect. And yeah, heel Cena in there in some fashion, giving it socks. I think they could actually make a pretty serious WrestleMania next year.
That's right, they've got performers ready to be at that high level, and indeed they've got some old favourites that are possibly returning. Now, a lot of news recently about Goldberg. Now, Goldberg has been working once again that he could be returning for another match. Now, it's been said that he has been also quite negative when asked, but these days things are changing. Now, I think a lot of guys have probably seen Bret Hart come back. They've heard of this Macho Man, Randy Savage action figure deal. I mean, this has been a massive year for things like that. Guys that I think this time last year we would have said will never be back have made it. So I think Goldberg is maybe thinking about that money.
Have we ever seen Austin and Goldberg?
That I am... we might turn it to the chat room.
I don't think that's... Maybe they might know.
There is talk in the chat room, and indeed we do this show live on justin.tv/WrestleDope. Come every Sunday, 9 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 1 p.m. Pacific. And in our live chat room, we have feedback here. Drifter88 wants to see himself taking on Undertaker. Indeed, Captain Charisma, Jericho versus Edge versus Christian, a triple threat. Now that could be a better way of doing that. Also, any other predicted matches? No joy on the Goldberg thing, but Goldberg versus Austin, I suppose, just like ourselves, it's kind of hard to remember.
Yeah, I think Captain Charisma there said that it didn't happen, but yeah, I think Austin said he kind of had one more match, and then maybe might be time to get those two lined up if he's going to get if Goldberg's going to get one of those Hall of Fame awards or whatnot.
Now, every WrestleMania, there's talk of Hogan coming back. Of course, he was such a big part of those early WrestleManias, and the Hulkamania era sold some of those big events, and the match versus Andre against the Warrior, they were classic moments, so everybody likes to see a Hogan return. Recently, I can remember one where he came out to help Eugene. Now, I think that was maybe 21, possibly. Maybe sometime around then.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a bit odd.
And, yeah, it might not have been that exact one. But I'm wondering, will Hogan be free? Because it's actually a few months to go. I think Bischoff has signed a long-term contract. I'm not so sure about Hogan, though. I suppose this is one we think about every year.
I don't really see it happening, but never say never, as they say.
Of course, the big high spot, the return that really would make it a WrestleMania classic, would be Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah, hands down. They should just put him in the bloody Hall of Fame once and for all, and that Jim Johnston guy as well that does the music.
Very good pick. I hope they've thought about him. He deserves to be in there. He's actually been the heart and soul of so much of it.
I was thinking about setting up like a Facebook campaign for that to happen.
Not a bad idea. We're going to have to do some Jim Johnston stuff, and maybe 30-second clips of some of his work. I mean, genuinely and legitimately, I think both of us, the guy has churned out music for this long, and some of those tracks that are sounding like licensed tracks are actually all his work. I mean, amazing.
He's incredible. He really nails it.
So if Savage returns, it'll be the best WrestleMania of all time. I'm waiting for it. Put the king hat on him, the scepter, the whole lot. It'll be huge, and I'm hoping that in 6 months' time that we'll be proven right.
I hope so too. He might need to dye that beard. Maybe him and Nash come back. Just for Men, sponsored by Just for Men Raw.
Wow, the possibilities there. I mean, Savage Nash tag team. I was thinking Savage Money in the Bank.
Savage Money in the Bank.
That's where you want Savage. Put him right in there. Get the briefcase. Miz v Savage.
Miz v Savage.
It's all going
Go forward, WrestleMania.